and rest, oxygen, of course, the way the individual child, his own contribution. So altogether, I want to mean here that how together we can provide a conducive environment to the student to grow in school and to grow at home. Now, if I refer back to the discussions in the Bangalore 2 years back, there was a question. I still remember that question. That question was, CBSE has introduced 1 hour mandatory sports or physical activities in the school. How to manage this within this curriculum boundary? So 2 principal has raised this question. Now, during these pandemic times, now I am asking you these questions. How to cope up your all those dynamics of educations, curriculum transactions, the load balancing, etc., etc. How it is possible to complete the syllabus? So it is towards the positivity, because without undermining that physical activities, if we really want to undermine, then that wholesale growth of the child. Now everybody, including all the eminent principals sitting on the panel or sitting outside the panel, everybody is striving towards immunity. These are only single questions. Every day you go back to home and your physical activities, those who are the lazy persons like me, they are also trying to do some workout. And it is for life. Now, same energy as we are trying to bring in the ecosystem, that environment altogether we can make. How far we have made or what we have to do, so that the long debates. I don't want to put all those debate here. But if you closely observe, in terms of facility, we are proud all our Gulf schools are having an excellent facility. It is of international standard. So your management and you yourself, all together, you try to build a good school. Now, during this pandemic periods, the purpose need to be redefined. The presence need to be redefined. So, a child, whether he or she is interested to come to the school or not. Of course, if Sharmaji was trying to put an agenda on national education policy, so early childhood education is very much stressed upon, because there is a specific line called 85% brain development is there at the early age, between 3 to 7 or 8, or some case it is 10. So all those scientific research are very much there. But how far students on their own want to come to your institute joyfully? So if we are really focused to provide that environment in the school ecosystems, I think we have to think laterally. The usual thought process, the way, of course, all of us are doing justice. All of us are very much focused to work on a single agenda, that is education. But after year-long practices, after decade-long practices, what is your opinion about these best practices of the education in school ecosystems? Are you satisfied what you are doing? So that introspection is very essential at this stage, because pandemics, once upon a time it comes, it gives so much of negativity, but at the same time, it gives the lot of scope to learn and relearn. So that within that process of relearning, I think we have to focus upon on the child. There are so much of research documents, so much of literature available in the internet domain, starting from all those 21st century skills, whatever we discuss in different forums, design thinking to creativity to collaborations, all those things are big jargon. Think of the child perspective. Now the child, from the early morning when the school buses or any other medium of transport will come, the parents before 2 hours, they try to push him or her to wake up. And with these sleepy eyes, they are pushed to the transport, whatever vehicles it is available. It is personal or school transportations. And then there is of course, the joyful activities many schools practices. Many schools, even at the early stage, uh, focus upon too much on academic activities. Maybe for the Gulf schools, it may not be true always. But if for a single case it is true, then I think we need to correct ourselves. So if at all we want something to be learned in the school, then the practice-based, skill-based, or activity-based in a joyful manner, we need to support them in the ecosystems. Of course, many of you are doing. And maybe these Sahodaya and Gulf Sahodaya, the best practices you are sharing with each other. That's the fundamental objective of that Gulf Sahodaya. For several years, you are doing these best practices, sharing of resources, sharing of other best practices you are doing. That's the beauty. So I must compliment and congratulate all the previous and present office bearer of Gulf Sahodaya for your wonderful step and thinking ahead of others. At the same time, I think how children learn, that basic philosophy need to be understood. Many of you are expert in this domain. So many international experts are also helping you, or you are also exposed to that level. Now, those activities are whether really carried out in the school ecosystems or not, how to ensure these things. How at the other end, the people like us are not always confident on the process adapted by the school. So for our sake, rather more than our sake, that parents' commitment and parents' engagement, I think somewhere down the line, that engagement is, I should not say completely missing, but missing at many extent. So parent engagement in the ecosystems or parent involvement in the ecosystems is highly necessary. Otherwise, and why it is necessary? Because from this early KG or even your classes 1, 2, 3, whatever, I think all the schools are doing some sort of assessment, and you are providing some grade card or somewhere it is mark sheet. And fundamentally, this is creating a confusions in the ecosystems. Whenever the percentage of marks or grading, whatever we are doing, absolutely the demand from the side of the parents or demand from the side of even from the teachers, those who are class teacher teaching and taking the subjects, that the performance is usually benchmarked based upon those grading or marks award. And that race starts as early as class 1. Now, how to stop that? So we must discuss on that line. So in one forum, I have heard that these days there are many examining, because many examinations, many assessment, many tests, many, whether it is cognitive test, summative test, formative test, So many kind of and different multiple intelligence, emotional intelligence. So how many things a child is supposed to face? If I would like to comment upon being a teacher, being a principal, you reach to this level. How many tests you yourself has given to reach up to this level? I think this fundamentals, because now parents are also excited, teachers are also excited, and school itself is benchmarking themselves that we are facilitating these many kind of test platform. So come and grab the opportunity. So one way, test, of course, some argument is there that will create a huge confidence. Other way, it's a huge investment. Other way, it is also giving a level. If we are really concerned about the mental well-being and the pressure systems of the home, I think it is the right time to observe closely what way the parents are treating whenever you declare or share the result of different competitive assessment carried out by the schools in collaborations with multiple partners. Those who are on the top 0.75%, for them, whether you carry out the test or not, does not matter. But remaining 99.25%, it matters because with the child, parents are more concerned about their outcomes. So my humble request to all of you, here at every schools, I think education for the parent should be first chapter. Whenever they comes to enroll in your school, gradually some modular, class-wise, some modular 5-page document to be shared at every year and every month. If required, you can conduct some interesting quiz competitions or test for the parents. No matter at what level they are educated, no need to be shy. Some oral interactions can be also there, so that they must understand the pressure of the child, what ecosystem is giving to them, and what as a parents they are giving to them. Unless we release this pressure, I think win-win situation is quite, we can't imagine that kind of situations. So that way, we need to come up with some sort of solutions, because this percentage of marks, higher class, of course, it is very high because the university admissions and other things are very much linked with it. But what about the lower class? Why parents are so worried about the percentage or what grade a child has obtained? And that everyday levelizations is actually disturbing the mental well-being of the child. So here is the right time to look into all those aspects. And as a school leader, you are supposed to encourage every parents and child to go through some literature book. In every forum, I try to suggest this, some novel related to any kind of story, it could be related to the country, related to the science fictions, it could be anything of their choice. Because within that, the boundary what we have defined, whether it is Cbse or school, whatever boundary of curriculum we have defined, that sometimes confuse the child. And that confusion is so high that sometimes it takes longer time to emotionally connect with the teachers. It takes huge amount of time to comprehend the whatever subjects they are reading. because the mind is floating to somewhere else. To bring back to the classroom, to bring back to the books, I think some additional jargon is required, and that is culture, that is the history, that is music, that is activity, any sort of activities. It could be sports link, it could be any sort of physical activities, it could be quiz, anything, any activities which children prefers, any gamifications. Many schools I have visited, they have huge infrastructure, huge creativity systems through which child can develop themselves. But also ask whether the child is happy or not in your system. That is more important. And if not, why? Is the school responsible or is house responsible or in between the transportation systems? Because many a times as a parent, as a school leaders, we are also concerned. Concerned for what? Concerned for the safety of the child. Even these safety measures, whatever we have taken, I'm not criticizing, but believe me, it is essential. The standard, whatever, sometimes it is ISO or schools quality index internationally, some benchmarking tools, it is definitely help you to keep your morale high because some international society has given you a stamping. But are we not treating the child like a poultry chick, where a conditioned atmosphere, a conditioned temperature, conditioned food, conditioned thought? If you really want to excel, if you really want to become those kind of students to become an innovator, a great thinker, that space needs to be given. I think somewhere, despite of every facility, the thinking space we are not able to give to the child to think independently. Okay, initially that supervised thought process we may inject, but his or her own independent thought process should come out. His design ability must come out. Then only the other component of learning, be it mathematics, history, or be it physics, they are definitely going to do something. So for that, to bring that interest onto that subjects, that logistic need to be developed. And that logistic is first of all your school library. Despite of that library facility, how many students are effectively used? If a child wants to use the library for the half day, how many schools are allowing him or her to access the library, bunking the classes? If any student is interested to do coding or just to play a game through which he want to explore something, giving them that facility in school. Parents, though, of course, they are not going to allow because they are concerned about the studies. What about the schools? So if we really want to bring out this kind of talent in the systems, if some student wants to play for the entire day, entire semester, if he or she wants to play, are we giving them that facility? No. Everywhere it is no. So that means some way we are suppressing the hidden talent of the child. So that understanding pattern need to be evolved so that what children want, if we are going to fulfill their requirement at early age, then there would be affinity to come to the schools. And that affinity need to be created. And you can create this. I'm confident you can create this. You do it for the first 6 months, okay, whenever that normalcy will come, or even now, so many people speaks about that project-based learning. Your project could be write a song Your project could be write a narrative, write a script for how to teach social science, write a script on photosynthesis. So if a drama script need to be developed and if 5 students are being involved through that process of creating the script for a drama, I think 2-3 chapters can be covered. So that innovative thinking need to come out in the systems. Many schools through theater pedagogy, many schools through storytelling pedagogy are practicing it. But how far we are giving that freedom? So storytelling may are a competition, science exhibition is a may are a competitions, and students, we are encouraging the student to participate. Sports is also, we are treating as a competitions. So we are preparing them to compete, not preparing them to learn. So the transition from examination or examinee to learner or examinations to learning, that transition bridge need to be constructed right at every schools. I think both pillars are there. The bridge is a still hanging bridge. Now permanent, something we need to do, and that is based on data, based on research and research interest, we need to inculcate in the student mind. The new education policy is actually talking about this fundamental bridge construction. Of course, the national curriculum framework, the new national curriculum framework is going to define how to walk through that bridge and how to help others to work together. So our process, we are confident with our results, with our well-being, with our capability, but at the same time, are your child is ready to help others who are not really coming to the schools or maybe begging at the roadside? Are they thinking for them? Are we encouraging them to think, or we are trying to safeguard with that CCTV voltage? Okay, I am trying to save my child only. And if you, even if you know in neighborhood, somebody is addicted with tobacco or liquor or whatever else, are we in a position to safeguard or help the other parents? So that boundary we created with cellulose or something else, that need to be discussed here. So my humble request once again to all the eminent school leader, because I know, as I know personally, almost all of you, I know your capability. You can create a new bridge. Help us, help the generations to walk through. It is not for the tagline 50 years or 20 years policy. It is for life. One teacher means teachers for life. One student, it is student for life. I think as I am also from this background, whenever I visited my hometown, if a student, he may be civil servant or he may be a good engineer in a government department, but their respects is till date as it is. I think you are also fortunate. We all are fortunate. We are in these professions, and we are also fortunate that we are working for a greater cause. It is one may be CEO of a XYZ company, but what is the impact of that particular profession in the society? How socially important that profession is. He or she may earn 10 times or 50 times more salary than all of us, but social impact, it's we are going to do. And all together, if we collaborate, I think the future generations can really enjoy the schooling, no matter now homeschooling, but real schooling also they will enjoy, like as per Hegre's versions, like ice cream. Thank you.
Mr. Hegde was continuously asking question to you that day. So, sir, very beautiful insight. And what we all understood while Mr. Syed Shaukat Ali was reading your profile, that in CBSE, actually, your department is the soul of whatever is going to happen.
All department, because tirelessly all department, it is not a question of, it's a team. It's a CBSE always, whether it is Anita Karwal ma'am or now Manoj Ahuja sir, it's always depend on the leadership, and we are lucky to have a good leader and all our colleagues as a team CBSE. You might have seen all our circular goes with team CBSE. So individual is not a matter of discussions.
The one challenge is in front of you right now. I could see that in last 4 or 5 years, vocational education and vocational subjects are being given quite good importance. And right now, when you are bringing vocational education right from class 6, middle classes, it is going to be really a challenge that why do we have this classification of vocational subject and main subject? Until then, this thing will continue, because in class 12th, what happens when children go for DU admissions and other universities admission, they keep all vocational courses aside. So that is a big challenge for you. So is CBSE doing something on that? And
Yes.
one appeal to all the attendees, they can put up their questions in Q&A box, and I will be taking questions from there also, and then our panelists will also be asking questions. So over to you, sir. Sir.
Yes. So basically, the questions you raised with respect to vocational education, again, let me refer the new education policy. Please go through, my humble request to all of you, please go through the policy papers, policy documents. Now here, the classifications of academic, vocational, that is being minimized. But of course, it would be, to some extent, it would be there. Now, classifications here in the university systems with respect to the practical component. Now, the positive news is that Delhi University itself started several Bachelor of Vocational program. I think more than 8 to 10 courses they have introduced this year with 10 specific specialization. So whatever course we are offering at senior secondary level, the student who have taken this course and they want to pursue higher studies in the same subjects, they are going to get a special 10 marks weightage in that. So it is otherwise. It is otherwise.
Yes. No.
So this is a case for Delhi University, but let us think beyond that. Now, we know one way there are dropout, one way there is a good aspirations for the student. Now, early we exposed on various skills, be it design thinking skills, you yourself is experts, and other principals who are discussing about so many other areas, be it computational thinking or coding, it is everywhere. Everywhere. And if I was going through the statistics of different country-wise coding penetrations at early age. So India's position is not satisfactory.
I know that is very good.
So that means some way we are focusing only on academic subjects. Okay, no matter you focus on academic subject, but there is a room to focus on game, coding, sports, and other skill component, other life skills. How many of your children are able to? They don't take it otherwise. These are open questions. I usually ask if a tube get fused or a bulb get fused, whether you call for electricians or unless you go to house, somebody are all of the family members are waiting that as a father or as somebody will come and put a new one. So these are very small, small things. These are silly examples, very small, small things. The child has to learn, and that too also from the school systems. For that, no additional effort is required. Within that foundations, you put this in soil, you put that component also. That becomes
I'm
more
quite sure
part.
that vocational education will be a core of the whole system, because all Scandinavian countries, they are doing so great, because their children know that when they become youth, that what are the other alternate occupations they can get into. And right now, the situation in India due to COVID, how many people are getting unemployed and they do not have any other alternate sources. So it's a beautiful thought, because earlier when you changed from SUPW to this was a very good thing, because SUPW, children used to call it like some useful period wasted. That was the abbreviation that was very popular that particular time. But bringing vocational education 9th, 10th, it was amazing impact, and many schools in Gulf countries, they are doing so great, and the children are really benefiting. And the question you put up is relevant, that children should know some basic skills, because like knowing about how to operate the gas stove, how to operate the microwave, how to change the bulb, how to put the fuse, small things they must know. And so just I will invite Arun Kumarji Sharma from Bahrain, he's principal in Bahrain school, to ask his question. Over to Arun Kumarji Sharma. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Let me
Good
first
afternoon, Arunji.
thank you, sir. Let me thank you for being with us. And it has been always a pleasure listening to you, whether in the conference or in the webinar, sir. And you were talking about the bridge, sir. You have created the bridge between the schools in the Gulf and the CBSE, actually, because you have been always available for us. Now, my question to sir and to the CBSE would be, using this situation as a blessing in disguise, can we make this training session for the teachers and the principals a regular and periodic feature of the academic year? Because every year we have the principals conference. We can finalize the academic training calendar before that, and we can discuss all those during the conference. At the end of the conference, since sir is also available, we can discuss those things, and throughout the academic year this continues, rather than only during this pandemic session. Can we do it, sir?
Why
Yeah,
not? We are open.
very good question,
We
sir.
are open, and in fact, for the teachers training, as earlier we used to put through our Center of Excellence. Now it is under my direct supervisions for Gulf countries. The Joint Secretary Training, Shandip Jain, he is personally involved into this. So whatever for country-wise any specific requirement is there, please give it to us, and at least through virtually, let us try out, let us experiment, and once the normal situation will come, then we will try the other method. So you have to tell us your specific requirement. One way, if it is from our side, some generic box we will create, and we'll ask you to pick and choose. But if you are in a best position to tell us that what is your specific requirement on training, and we'll try to address one by one. So it is a generic reply for all the country that whoever wants to take a specific training, especially for all foreign schools, the training will be training required need will be addressed from the side of the CBSE training headquarters. So no matters XYZ COE will be involved in the process, but your requirement will be addressed directly. So you directly write to us, and we'll address one by one.
It would be great, sir. Thank you so much.
And this pandemic has brought this.
And also be ready to take the sessions for Indian schools, because I know all principals are competent, and many of you teachers team members are very much enthusiastic. So it is other way around. So one way, your specific need will be addressed by us, but your competency need to be shared with the schools who are located in India, in different places, if teachers wants to take training. So you as a resource persons also be ready to help us.
We
Yes,
are
sir.
ready, sir. Actually, when you have been talking about sharing of best practices, when I was the chairman of the Gulf Council, at that time we started the sharing of best practices. It continued for 2-3 years. But I think that needs to be continued for every year, where the best practices of all
It
chapters
will.
should be put together.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Arunji. So
Thank you, sir.
it is blessing in disguise. Saha sir knows that for last 2 years since I have shifted from Delhi to Qatar, I was after him for bringing team over here, and at least
Yeah.
one
It was
session.
finalized also for Qatar. Oman we did, but for Qatar it was fine. Next question.
And sir, you are very correct that we are having many competent principals and teachers over here. They can also contribute, taking workshops and all other kind of things. And this is going to be an amazing bridge. And very well said that we ourselves can give certain kind of a list on the need based, that how we want to get the training sessions done, particularly for foreign schools. And everybody can participate. Now there are flood of webinars on the
Yes,
social media and everywhere. So many people are choosing different kind of good sessions also. That's a very good. So I request now Shinu Rezi ma'am from Kuwait. So ma'am, please come and ask your question and introduce yourself before you ask your question.
I'm Shinu Raji. I teach in United School, Kuwait. I'm a maths teacher in senior section. Good afternoon, sir. I'm also so happy to listen your speech. I agree with Arun Kumar Sharma sir also. My question is, with the due appreciation of new education policy, would like to raise my concern to the over exploitation of the flexibility given to students.
So basically, you want to say there will be more stress on children. Is it so, or you want to say about the flexibility?
When we are giving a flexibility, they have lots of, some parents won't be able to keep an eye on them.
No,
It
please
is not like that.
your question.
It is not like that. Flexibility, you see what children wants to pursue. In terms of that flexibility, and it is too early to comment because NCF will give us the guidelines. What kind of flexibility? Okay. And number two, here the autonomy is already there with the school. And this extension of autonomy to the child, if we extend, what's the harm? My question, because in my speech, I try to focus upon only one agenda. Suppose you are a math teacher and in your class, 5 students want to do maths for whole day. They have a capacity and they do not want to attend English class. They do not want to attend physics class. No, not physics, it's a case of early cases. So, and social science class. And if you allow them for 2 days, okay, these days we are marked for only for maths and these 5 students. Okay, you sit in the library or maybe near to teachers' common room somewhere, and you are helping them.
Okay.
What is the problem? Someday we can enjoy some bagless day. All of a sudden, okay, they may come with the bag, but if principal decide, no, today no academic activities, no book, nothing, only fun. And those things up to class 6, 7, starting from your nursery to every day could be an adventure.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So that way you try to, then automatic interest will grow. And you as a senior teacher, lead that experimentations. Maths is a soul of for the all other subjects.
Thank you,
Right.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Shinu ma'am. So there was this was very interesting that no bag. There was one question in Q&A also that when there is no bag, so it is a really a task which we have to give thought, and basically even to first of all we have to educate parents also about the various issues related to the problems, because they belong to that particular generation who got education in a different set of problems.
Not they. Now onwards, no they. No they. We. We have to tell we. If you segregate, if you put cellulose in between you and parents, then they are supposed to fight.
Oh, true. Very true. Very true.
But be we.
all of us have to understand this
Yes.
basic thing, that children also need some kind of that particular dimension where they can think beyond the books, they can think beyond the classroom, they can discuss beyond the classroom, they can discuss beyond the subjects. That is a need of the hour, and it's like it took almost more than 36 years to bring a new education policy, and it will decide next 30 to 40 years, and we don't know what will be the outcome of various kind of things. But one thing is quite sure, that we are not aware at all that by 2030 what kind of jobs, what kind of professions, what kind of technology will come. And for that, Saha sir has said very, very correctly that it is very important to build certain kind of skills which are related to thinking, design thinking, related to experiential learning, related to at least soft skills, which are very, 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 very important. So now I invite Sanchita Verma ma'am from Oman. Sanchita ma'am, please come and ask your question, and before that introduce yourself.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Sanchita Verma. I'm principal in Indian School Sohar in the Sultanate of Oman. And also I am chapter convener, Oman chapter convener this year. And we had the proud privilege of having Saha sir along with his team to Oman for imparting teachers training on a very, very massive scale. So as in Cbse, they say that grow through what you go through. So we are also trying to grow through what we are going through and converting adversity into opportunity. So first of all, from my chapter, I thank and appreciate all these Cbse officials for a very high visibility, not only to the principals, but our all colleagues, our staff members, teachers, all are able to watch these webinars. Otherwise, before, if we ever asked, do you know this person who is heading this department? They will say, yeah, we have seen signatures in the circulars. So these were only names and signatures on the circulars. And now everybody is benefited by seeing them in person and even getting an opportunity to ask questions. So thank you so much, sir. Now, as this webinar is also related to training, I have also imparted a few trainings as a resource person for the Cbse. Now, in the wake of new education policy, will all the training modules be changing? And new topics and new pedagogies or new how to impart vocational skills, methods to integrate into the curriculum, will we be trained for that?
Yes,
Sanchita. So first of all, very good questions. And of course, your background, the book tree.
So, that's my hobby.
Oh, okay. So let me take up the questions in a way. First of all, I would like to request all the teachers community to take that experiential learning course. We'll give a different platform because Diksha is not accessible to Gulf countries. So we are creating an alternative platform so that all the teachers can take up that experiential learning course from our platform, number one. Number two, we are now working upon a training course on competency-based education, and which is again a focus area in the new education policy. Now, the journey of competency-based education, I think over a period of time, it would be a reality. And now we are preparing an online course, and we'll request all the teacher principals to take up the course and gradually penetrate up to the classroom. How far? So first request would be experiential learning, followed by competency-based learning, or rather competency-based education. These two foundation level training will help you to relearn and relearn. So all those things are because teachers are competent. They have already the qualified and huge number of experience. So what new in that? Only the learning outcome-based curriculum transactions, which many of you are, as you are present in foreign country, this is already in practice. So outcome-based educations is the new mantra which is visible, which was, but in true sense of implementations dynamics, we'll also prepare some training module, but existing training module will also retain, because subject enrichment, it is as it is. Only the competency-based education component will lead or infused within it. And the last component is with respect to the different manual, what Cbse has published. It is readily available in the website. So in your leisure time, try to read this, and maybe chapter-wise distributions could be there. So, okay, Sanchita ji will read one chapter, AP Sharma ji will read another chapter, and Sinu Reji will read another chapter. So that way you distribute. And then internally, it can be discussed. And then take the lead role. Then once all the 5 chapters are being discussed by 5 eminent peoples, so that means all 5 peoples are confident about what are the learning outcomes of those manual. Then you as an independent leader, go to your schools, discuss these things with your teacher. That's all. That would be the outcome-based approach.
Yes, sir. So,
sir, one more question is about sample papers.
It will come very soon. That much I can say. I believe by month's time, it will be in our public website. That much I can say at this point.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Already come. Sanchita ma'am, few are there. The design of the question paper has already come for 10th, 12th.
No, design is the sample question. Her question was related to sample question paper.
So, sir, when you...
So very quickly, I have to go to another session with related to something else. So maybe another 3-4 questions you can take quickly, very quickly.
So the next question, I invite Hamida ma'am from Qatar. Please come and ask your question.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Hamida ji.
Yes, it was a wonderful session, and since we are running short of time, I'll straight away go to my question. I'm the chapter convener of Qatar, and we are very fortunate to have you here. My question for you is, what are the creative methods which a school can invent to build foundations of resilience in students to face such a difficulties like pandemic? In future, are you planning anything like that? So this is an unexpected pandemic, and we all adapted somehow to the blended approach of technology and a traditional method. So in future, is Cbse having any plan, any foundations of resilience for students, sir?
Let me tell you only the existing method first, because I know you are also a counselor for Cbse.
Yes, sir.
Now, we know the parents to some extent. We know the student first. We know parent to some extent, and their contact number are also very much with the school. Now, during this pandemic time, how many school principals had interacted with how many students, how many parents? So this question is equally important for the teacher to parents, teachers to student, or other way, if we move, how many parents had contacted to your teacher and you as a school leader? So I think first of all, any pandemics or any difficult disaster situations, first of all, it demands the communication. Resilience and other things, mindfulness, it will come at the second step. So first communication channel you have to open, because many a times as a school leader, we expect that the people will contact us, people will come to us, and we are the problem solver. Okay, so this kind of because pandemic was not there for last several years.
Yes.
So we are fortunately or unfortunately built up our mindset like this. Similarly, parents also feel that, okay, we are paying the fee and school is supposed to complete their responsibility. So they are also attuned and created this kind of attitudes in their mindset. So these two mindset is some way fixed, or people call it rigid. And in between, the student to think of his or her situation. So these two ideology need to communicate. Automatically, the problem related to resilience, mindfulness, because you are the two party, we are the two party, need to communicate with each other. So let us open that channel. Let us open that gate. Things will be automatically. We no need to, because you put the term invention. Invention has a huge scope. So through that experimentation, you can invent.
Yes.
Yeah. Next question, Mr. Rahmatullah Khan from Saudi Arabia. Mr. Rahmatullah Khan, please come and first introduce yourself.
A very good afternoon, sir. This is
Good afternoon,
Rahmatullah.
Rahmatullah ji.
Yasmin International School, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, representing Saudi Arabian chapter. As you know very well, we have around 39 to 40 schools in Saudi Arabia, next biggest chapter in the whole Gulf. And we are the first one to receive the blow of COVID, as you know very well, because our academic year started in the month of April. And we are really excited to see you here, because you're a man with positive vibes. I have seen you in all the webinars, in all the sessions. You have been very excited, and all changes are happening because of Cbse officials like you. So my sincere appreciation to you, sir. And next, I would like to share in this platform a great salute for our principals and teachers who made this pandemic a very successful show in the field of education, because quality is not compromised. So that is what we have done in Gulf schools, and especially in Saudi Arabia. And my questions are two. It is more or less evolved with new education policy, and as well as somewhere about COVID also. So one is about new education policy. Since we are going to introduce, it's a good idea that we are going to introduce the vocational education from grade 6 onwards. So you know very well, foreign schools in Gulf, we have different struggle when it comes to vocational courses. So how well we can train the teachers regularly, because you have been very courteous enough to train online all the teachers and principals. That is how we are successful today. And how well we can train the teachers when this is implemented in the year 2021. And next question is about COVID. Yes, of course, we have still more phase to pass on this stage. And COVID, it has to give a new normal space for us. And when it comes to your speech, I have been listening very keenly about your gamification, artificial coding, and life skills. Yes, it is must for each and every citizen. And after 5 years, if you see that our country is going to be totally different with a lot of competencies among children. So my question again is, yes, we are ready to take it up. We have no doubt in that. But again, how well we can cope up with vocational education for our teachers. And we are doing best in life, whatever the best programs we are doing, student enrichment program and grouping and all those things, we are doing it well. But again, how well the Cbse can help us in vocational education, train the trainers. That is what. Thank you so much.
Rahmatullah sir, before you speak, let me take the last question also, so that you can sum up that question. So Sanchita from, the Ambika ma'am from UAE, please come and introduce yourself and ask your question also. Her question is also very relevant to this. Ambika ma'am.
Good afternoon. This is Ambika Gulati. Dr. Saha, how are you?
Fine, fine.
From the Millennium School in Dubai, representing the UAE chapter. My question is also related to the education policy. I think that's paramount in all our minds these days. We are all trying to read it and understand it and make meaning out of it. And we're very excited, and we're looking forward to seeing how CBSE is going to actually blend it with their policies and the way forward on taking the new education policy. Specifically for me, for us, it was in terms of primary year education, since you spoke about that, and that children's numeracy and literacy can be improved substantially if they are taught and learned in their mother tongue or their home language. Now, for schools like ours in Gulf, where we have diverse populations, and so we were wondering, what is the home language, what is the mother tongue language that we would be, working with to impart this kind of learning for the children so that it becomes easier. Any thoughts on that?
Three language formula means
Fine. Good questions, but perspectives are different. One is related to Ramtulaji's that vocational program and teachers training, train the trainer programs. Our unit, that Department of Skill Education, is continuously engaging, or rather already associated with many industry like Intel, IBM, Microsoft, almost all big name, Facebook. Now we are going to train the teachers on augmented reality. And those teachers have applied from the Gulf countries. In the first phase, we will try to accommodate as many as possible. And similarly, with Google, also we are going to train almost all teachers on new technology and digital education. So all those things it's a continuous activity. For specific skill program, be it at middle level, secondary level, or senior secondary level, as the country-wise the Sahodaya chapter is there, what I will suggest, if one school create the infrastructure, because some skill courses require certain infrastructure. Some schools, some courses may not require much infrastructure. With your existing infrastructure, it is highly sufficient. So those courses you can directly start without any second thought, number one. Number two, with respect to heavy infrastructure requirement course, then you can aim for collaborations. One school, one chapter schools can create the infrastructure, other can access. So weekly basis or monthly basis, the student can come. So joyful exhibition and camping could be there. So that through that methodology also, you can offer some skill courses. Number three, if some local industry is available, suppose if it is a hospitality-based course, I know you have a good numbers of good hotels, good tourist spot, and tourism, especially in Gulf countries, almost all the countries are having a tremendous scope. So those industry, those small business house who are operating this kind of activities, school, if you write to them that we want to associate with you in terms of some exposure visit to the student and how to deal with the new tourist, and silently they will observe not only their own language of the Gulf, wherever it is Arabic or other, over a period of time, the students are going to learn new language. They may learn other foreign language also. Maybe you are teaching in the schools, may not be you are discussing in the classroom. So that would be the beauty of outcomes of those kind of collaboration. So that area you can explore jointly, and that's why we are promoting hub of learning. And you are already structured over there. Every country has your own chapter, so you are already structured. You don't have to. So these, you just try to put some butter on that structure. It will, I think, mobilize. So number one, and teachers training, specific requirement, you tell us, we are here to support you through industry associations or through different resource persons from different sector skills council of National Skill Development Corporations or any other organization. It would be our headache altogether. So your requirement you spell out. Coming back to Ambikaji's, when we are residing in a foreign nation, advantage is also enormous. The policy implications I don't see any implications is there with respect to any of our foreign schools. Even I don't see any implications for our Indian schools, being it in Indian states or outside the boundary of a country. What matters is whatever language the student is comfortable, we are managing the migratory populations, be it in India or be it in Qatar or Dubai, wherever it is. And we are definite that these migratory populations, them today in this country, tomorrow they may be in other country, or they may come back to their original native place. Now, considering all those factors, now if in a classroom, a subject teacher who is teaching in an English medium, okay, fine, comfortable. But if students are not comfortable, nowadays also, without reading out the policy document, in wherever that Malayali populations is there, the Kerala population is there, and teacher is also very much conversant with the language, they are not discussing in Malayalam. Every time your CCTV camera is putting a red signal, okay, no, you can't discuss in if somebody is comfortable in Arabics, and your teacher is conversant with this language, and if somebody asks the question in Arabic, is it always necessary to reply in English? Are you not practicing now? How does it policy document is restricting to you to practice this? So mother tongue up to primary level, it is easy to understand, easy to connect with the parents. And nowadays, so many tools are also available. Somebody was sending WhatsApp message, okay, these things are discussed in Urdu, okay, the mother is not understanding, father know Urdu and mother know some other language. So Google Translator.
Duolingo.
So no matter, think in other way, and of course NCF will because it is too early to comment on that line. NCF will give the guidelines, and state policy always state will come up with its own agenda. But for the migratory populations, we have that tagline, and that tagline always keep us in advantageous position.
Wonderful insight. So at the end, I request Hamida Kader ma'am, our chapter convener of Qatar, just for vote of thanks. It was an amazing insight, and all of us have got benefited. We are looking forward for the next session very soon. Hamida ma'am, over to you. Just last 1 minute, sir. Hamida ma'am.
Hamida is not able to join?
Yes. No, Hamida ma'am is there, but
she need to unmute.
She has unmuted, but Hamida ma'am, come on video and.
Ma'am has to unmute.
Yeah. Okay, so it's taking time. So on behalf of everyone over here, sir, I thank you very much that just by one call only you accepted our invitation, and it was a very insightful session. And my thanks to all the panelists and all attendees that it has been a wonderful session. I've seen the questions and I deliberated those questions during my discussion also. And it was an amazing thing. And whatever the Cbse is doing, all the people,
Hamida madam joined, I think now.
Yes, sir. There was a technical error. I don't know. I was trying to get it.
Okay, so thank you. You can thank you.
Yes, sir. Schooling doesn't assure employment, but skill does. With this quote, let me begin my note of gratitude. Our most valued keynote speaker of today's webinar, Dr. Biswadit Saha, Director, Vocational and Skill Training, Cbse. Cbse Gulf Sahodaya Chairman, Dr. Subhash Nair, Principal, Shantiniketan Indian School. Our beloved Treasurer, Cbse Gulf Sahodaya, Mr. Syed Shaukat Ali, Principal, Ideal Indian School. The moderator of today's webinar, the dynamic Mr. A.P. Sharma, Principal, Birla Public School. Then principals of CBSE Girls Sahodaya, Vice Principals, Teaching Fraternity, good evening. We are currently undergoing the fallout of the present crisis, COVID-19, which compelled us to adopt and empower ourselves with ever new strategies in our delivery mode of teaching in a more systematic way by capitalizing on the opportunities. It is this context the webinar assumes significance as it throws light on various empowering strategies to be followed as teachers and heads of institution. An event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheel started rolling weeks ago. We have been backed up by a team of very motivated and result-oriented colleagues. It is in this regard, I would like to place on record my hearty gratitude and sincere appreciation to everyone involved in the success of this event. To start off, I must mention a deep sense of appreciation for our resource person, Dr. Biswajit Saha, Director, Vocational Skill Training, CBSE, for his perceptions on empowering principals and teachers by providing prepositions that would render positive changes in the process of further enhancement through new pedagogical strategies and enabling us to be successful academicians. I would like to make a special mention here. Sahaji is highly involved in Prime Minister's e-Vidya and digital education. I'm sure everybody knows about it. Then in this context, I would also like to uh, express my gratitude to Sahaji for updating and clarifying the latest CBSE implementations, which serve as guidelines to carry out our academic sessions and thus promoting excellence in education. Sir, from Gulf Sahodaya, I wholeheartedly thank you on behalf of all the principals, on behalf of all the office bearers for providing us this opportunity to interact with you. And we have been very fortunate to be guided by our chairman, CBSE Gulf Sahodaya, Dr. Subhash Nair, who has helped us in collaborating and making successful webinars hosted by the Qatar chapter specially. And we are greatly indebted to our treasurer, CBSE Girls Sahodaya, Mr. Syed Shaukat Ali, Principal Ideal Indian School, for rendering constant support in all our endeavors in organizing various seminars and symposiums for teachers on different occasions. And finally, I'd like to place on record our sincere appreciation and gratitude to our dynamic moderator of webinar. Everybody knows him, Mr. A.P. Sharma, Principal of Birla Public School. He has been instrumental in bringing all CBSE officials for the webinar, and we are highly indebted his proactive webinar with a controller of exam. And I place on record sincere gratitude on behalf of everyone. Further, we are very grateful to all the Gulf Sahodaya principals, conveners, teachers, vice principals, and all the invitees for involving in such a program. Once again, thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much, Hamida ma'am. And as you announced, very soon we will be having a webinar with the controller examination also, and we will circulate the information to all the attendees and the principals of Gulf Sahodaya, as well as we are trying to bring Chairman sir also, Chairman CBSE also. Very soon we will be in touch. Thank you very much for your kind support. Syed Shaukat Ali sir, wonderful arrangement and a beautiful webinar, very purposeful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for initiation taken, and you are the person who started this process, and we took it as a challenge and finished it. I thank Hamida madam also at this juncture and for her wonderful words. And I thank you one and all, and especially my technical team has done wonderful job. I thank them specially. Thank you all principals who joined us today for the webinar. And special thanks to all the principals who attended this webinar and asked questions to Dr. Saha. It was really good, and we could interact with him very well. So once again, I place on record and thank each one of you who involved in this webinar. So thank you one and all. Great
you.
work,
Thank you,
great job.
very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening ahead. I'm signing off.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sajid,
Thank
we
you
can
so
close.
Yes,
much,
sir.
sir. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Sure, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks to each one of you. God bless all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody.